Okay guys, this framework is how I price jobs quickly, confidently, and profitably, without guessing and without charging hourly. So the first thing to remember is that whenever pricing your jobs, you're solving a problem for these people. The bigger, the heavier, the more messier and urgent the problem is, the more it costs. So first thing first, volume is always going to be what you clinch on to. Everything else stacks on top of load size. Before you start thinking about stairs, mattresses, or any of that other stuff, the first thing you need to think of is this a fourth load, half load, or a full load. Load size determines how much space it takes, how many dump runs you need, and how long the job realistically lasts. So one fourth load will look like curbside pickup, a few items, a single room clean out, just the basic stuff that won't take up much of your trailer. A half load will be multiple pieces, such as garage clean out, small apartment, multiple rooms, just stuff that's going to take up a good amount of your trailer. And then a full load will be a whole house clean out, construction debris, big problems. And of course, this is just a variable. Everybody's trailer is a different size, so you kind of need to price appropriately off that and just keep that in mind. So you can see here we got this little note on the side. Everything stacks on top of load size. Once load size is set, everything else stacks on top. And if you skip this step, you'll start negotiating with yourself. The next thing we got is labor. Labor is about effort, not time. You need to ask yourself before every job, is this physically harder than normal? Is it messier? Just that kind of thing. What this will look like will be heavy items such as fridges, washing machines, dryers, just anything that's just going to be absurdly heavy and you just typically won't be able to do by yourself. The next thing you need to consider is two-man jobs. If you need help, that's two people getting paid. You're the one who's going to be paying this cost, so you need to include it and factor it into the quote. And the last thing we got is awkward removals. Anything at a tight angle, fragile walls, weird shapes, even if the job is inside, that gives you more risk. It is more typical to charge extra for that. One key rule to remember is more effort is more money. You're not charging for how strong you are, you're charging for what the job requires. Moving on to the third thing is disposal. This is where beginners lose the most money. So starting first with disposal is dump fees. Every load costs money to get rid of. That fee is baked into the price. It is important to be transparent to your client with this and make them know that you're charging them for the dump fee. Moving on next is mattresses. Mattresses almost always cost extra anywhere. That's not your problem, it's the customer's. So make sure to include this in your price. By the way, if a mattress is maybe clean, you might be able to stage it by putting sheets or a comfort set on it and sell it on Marketplace. This is also an effective way to get rid of one. Special items like tires, paint, anything that has liquid, gasoline, those are all going to be extra prices and you need to factor this into your quote as well and make it known to your client that you are charging them for this reason. It is always important to let your client know why you are charging them any extra fees. That will increase your likelihood of closing jobs if they understand what they are paying for. Little side note we have, if it costs more, it costs them more. If you don't charge the disposal, you're going to be paying for it out of your own pocket. Moving on next, we have access. Access is about how hard it is to get the junk out, not just how much junk there is. Every flight of stairs increases effort and time. You need to include this into your quote. Next is long carries. Distance from door to truck matters. Long walks add up. Okay guys, I just realized that this has been tires and paint the whole time, but it's supposed to be tight spaces. So anytime that there's a narrow hallway, sharp turns, that's risk and time, so you need to always factor that in. Time is always money. The last thing we got is urgency. Urgency is about convenience for the client. If you're arriving same day, you're rearranging your schedule for them. The client will understand paying for the urgency. Another factor to consider is emergency. Last-minute problems cost more. And last is after hours. Time outside on normal work hours is premium time. This can include the weekend, holidays, or just time you're not usually working, such as after 5 p.m. Now moving over to pricing rules, always anchor to load size first. However much you can fit in your trailer depends on how many jobs you're going to be able to get done. This basically determines on your profit margin. The more you can fit in your trailer, the more you're going to be able to dump at once, which typically means less dump fees. If it costs you more, it costs them more. You don't need to pay for the client's problem. If you're going to have to pay extra at the dump, then you need to include this in your price, or else you're going to be losing money on your jobs. So guys, this is pretty much the whole framework, and it's always important to remember if it feels uncomfortable to say out loud, then you're probably charging correctly. This framework removes emotion from pricing. You're not guessing, you're not copying competitors, you're not charging hourly. In the next lesson, we'll price roadmaps together, so this will become automatic every time, and you'll have experience filling jobs before you even get out in the field.